In his rooms at the base of the tower, Arkin Ruach was waiting patiently. Dirk found a recliner amid the pastel walls and sculpture and the potted Kindissi'S plants. He reclined, wanting only to rest and not to think. But Ruach was there, chuckling and shaking his head so the white blonde hair danced, thrusting a tall green glass into his hand. Dirk took it and sat up again. The glass was a fine, thin crystal, plain and unadorned except for a fast-melting coat of frost. He drank, and the wine was very green and cold, incense and cinnamon down his throat. "Utter tired you look, Dirk," the Kindissi said after he'd found a drink of his own and seated himself with a plop in a slung-web chair beneath the shadow of a drooping black plant. The spear-shaped leaves cast striped darkness on his plump, smiling face. He sipped, sucking the drink noisily, and very briefly Dirk despised him. "A long day," he said non-committally. "Truth," Ruach agreed. "A day of cavallard, eh? Always long, sweet Gwen and Jantony and last Garcy, enough to make any day last forever. What do you say?" Dirk said nothing. "But now," Ruach said, smiling, "you have seen. Me, I wanted that for you to see. Before I told you, before I was sworn to tell you, yes, a swearing to myself. Gwen, she has told me. We talk, as friends, and I have known her and Jan too since Avalon. But here we've grown closer. She cannot talk of it easily ever, but she talks to me, or has, and I can tell you, not violating trust. You were the one to know, I think." The drink sent icy fingers down into his chest, and Dirk felt his weariness lifting. It seemed as if he had been half asleep, as if Ruach had been talking for a long time and he had missed it all. "What are you talking about?" he said. "What should I know? Why Gwen needs you," Ruach said. "Why she sent the thing? The red tear, I know, she's told me." Suddenly Dirk was quite alert, interested and puzzled. "She told you," he began, then stopped. Gwen had asked him to wait, and long ago the promise he had made, but it fit. Perhaps he should listen. Perhaps it was simply hard for her to tell him. Ruach would know, her friend, she had said, in the forest, the only one she could talk to. "What?" "You must help her, Dirk Talarian, somehow, I don't know." "Help her how? To be free? To escape?" Dirk set his drink down and scratched his head. "From who?" "Them, the Cavallars." He frowned. "Jan, you mean? I met him this morning, him and Janasek. She loves Jan. I don't understand." Ruach laughed, sucked from his drink, laughed again. He was dressed in a three-piece suit of alternating brown and green squares, like motley, and as he sat spouting nonsense, Dirk wondered if the short ecologist was indeed a fool. "Loves him, yes, she said that," Ruach said. "You sure of it, are you? Well?" Dirk hesitated, trying to remember her words when they had talked by the still green lake. "I'm not sure," he said, "but something to that effect. She is—" "What was it?" "Bethane," Ruach suggested. Dirk nodded. "Yes, Bethane, wife." Ruach chuckled. "No, utter wrong. In the car I listened, Gwen said it wrong. Well, not really, but you took the wrong impression. Bethane is not wife. Part truth, the biggest lie of all, remember? What do you think Tane is?" The word stopped him. Tane. He had heard the word 100 times on Warlawn. "Friend?" he guessed, not knowing what he meant. "Bethane is more of wife than Tane is friend," Ruach said. "Learn the outworlds better, Dirk. No, Bethane is woman-to-man word in Old Kavalar, for a held wife bound by jade and silver. Now, there can be much affection in jade and silver, much love, yes, though the word used for that, the standard Terran word, there is no like word in Old Kavalar. Interesting, eh? Can they love without a word for it, Talarian, friend?" Dirk did not reply. Ruach shrugged and drank and continued. "Well, no matter, but think of it. I spoke of jade and silver, and yes, often the Cavallars have love in that bond, love from Bethane to High Bond, from High Bond to Bethane sometimes, or liking, if not love, but not always, not necessarily, you see." Dirk shook his head. "Cavallar bonds are custom and obligation," Ruach said, leaning forward very intently. "With love, late-coming accident. Violent folk, I told you. Read history, read legends. Gwen met Jan on Avalon, and she did not read, not enough. He was Jan Vickery of High Cavalan. And what was that? Some planet she never knew? Truth. So their liking grew. Call it love, perhaps, and sex happens, and he offers her jade and silver wrought in his pattern, and suddenly she is Bethane to him, still not quite knowing. Trapped. Trapped? How trapped? Read history. The violence of High Cavalan is long past. The culture is unchanged. Gwen is Bethane to Jan Vickery. Bethane held wife, yes, his lover, and more. Property and slave, she is that too, and gift. She is his gift to RJ Gathering. With her he bought his high names, yes. She must have children if he orders, whether she wishes or no. She must take Garza's lover also, whether she wishes or no. If Jan dies in duel with a man of a holdfast other than Jade, a Braith or a Redsteel, Gwen passes to that man like baggage, property, to become his Bethane or a mere Iain if the victor already wears jade and silver. If Jan dies of natural causes or in duel with another Jade, Gwen goes to Gars. Her will in the matter is no concern. Who cares that she hates him, not the Cavalars, and when Garcy dies, eh? Well, when that comes, she is Iain hold-fast breeder, degraded forever, free to use for any of the Kethi. Kethi meaning hold-fast brothers, more or less, the men of the family. Jade Gathering's all huge family, thousands and thousands of family, and any can have her. What did she call Jan? Husband? No, jailer. That is what he is, he and Gas. Loving jailers maybe if you think that such can love truly, as you or I would. Jantony honours our Gwen, and should, for he is high Jade now. She is his Bethane gift, and if she dies or leaves him, he is Frey Jade, an old man, mocked, empty-armed, without voice in council. But he slaves her, does not love her, and she is years after Avalon now, older and wiser, and now she knows. Rourke had delivered the last in a breathless fury, his lips drawn tight. Dirk hesitated. He doesn't love her, then? As you love your property, so a high bond done is Bethane. It is a tight bond, jade and silver, never to be broken, but it is a bond of obligation and possession. No love. That is elsewhere, if the Cavalars have it at all. To be found in chosen brother, in the shield and soulmate and lover and warrior twin, the ever-loyal bringer of pleasure and taker of blows and lifter of pain, the lifetime strong bond. Tain, Dirk said, a little numbly, his mind racing ahead. Tain, Rourke nodded. The Cavalars, all violent as they are, have great poetry. Much celebrates the Tain, the bond of iron and glowstone, none the jade and silver. Things fell smoothly into place. You were saying, Dirk began, that she and Jan don't love each other, that Gwen is all but a slave, yet she doesn't leave. Ruark's chubby face was flushed. Leave? Utter nonsense. They would only force her back. A high bond must keep and protect his Bethane, and kill the one who tries to steal her. And she sent the jewel to me? Gwen talks to me, I know. What other hope has she? The Cavalars, Jantony has twice killed in duels. No Cavalar would touch her. And what good if they did? Me? Am I a hope? His soft hands swept down his body, and he dismissed himself in contempt. You, Talarian, you are Gwen's hope. You who owe her. You who loved her once. Dirk heard his own voice as if from far away. I still love her, he said. Good. I think, that Gwen, though she would never say it, yet I think she, too, still feels, as she did, and she never has for Jantony, Riv, Wolf, High, Jade, Vickery. The drink, the odd green wine, had touched him more than he would have imagined. Only one glass, a single tall glass, and strange, the room ran around him. And Dirk Talarian held himself upright with an effort and heard impossible things and began to wonder. Rourke made no sense, he thought, but then he made too much sense. He explained everything, really, and it was all so shining clear and clear, too, what Dirk must do. Or was it? The room wavered, grew dark and then light again, dark and then light, and Dirk was 1 second very sure and the next not sure at all. What must he do? Something for Gwen. He must find out the truth of things, And then he raised a hand to his forehead. Beneath the dangling locks of grey-brown hair, his brow was beaded with sweat. Ruark stood suddenly, alarm across his face. "Oh," the Kindissi said, "the wine has made you sick. Utter fool I am. My fault. Outworld wine and Avalon stomachs. Yes, food will help, you know. Food." He scurried off, brushing the potted plant as he went so the black spears bobbed and danced behind him. Dirk sat very still. Far off in the distance, he heard a clatter of plates and pots, but paid it no mind. Still sweating, his forehead was furrowed in thought that was strangely difficult. Logic seemed to elude him, and the clearest things faded even as he grabbed hold of them. He trembled while dead dreams woke to new life, while the choker woods withered in his mind and the wheel burned hot and fiery above the new flowering noonday woods of Warlawn. He could make it happen, force it, wake it, put an end to the long sunset and have Jenny, his Guinevere, forever by his side. Yes, yes. When Ruark came back with forks and bowls of soft cheese and red tubers and hot meat, Dirk was calmer, cool again. He took the bowls and ate in a half-trance while his host prattled on. Tomorrow, he promised himself. He would see them at breakfast, talk to them, learn what truth he could. Then he could act. Tomorrow.